Welcome to my channel, Glorious English. If you want to learn English through real stories, you are in the right place. By watching this story, you will not only learn new English words, but also feel peace in your heart. Today's story is about the inspiring biography of the Dalai Lama. Chapter 1. The Boy in the Mountains. One cold night in 1935, in a quiet village high in the mountains of Tibet, a baby cried for the first time. The stars shone brighter than usual, and old monks walking nearby stopped and looked at the sky. They said the wind carried a sign. The baby was named Lamo Dundup. His home was simple, built of stones and prayer flags that danced in the breeze. He loved playing with sheep and chasing butterflies near the hills. One day, two monks came to the village, carrying a small box of sacred things. They believed that the spirit of the Dalai Lama, the leader of peace, had been reborn. They visited many homes, placing a few objects before each child. When the baby reached out and picked the rosary that had belonged to the former Dalai Lama, the monks looked at one another. Their eyes filled with quiet wonder. They bowed to the boy's parents and whispered, "This is the one." The news spread quickly across the mountains. Villagers came to see the smiling child, who seemed to understand calm, even when everyone spoke loudly. No one knew what lay ahead, but the boy's eyes already held a peace far beyond his years. Chapter 2. The child chosen for peace. Soon after, the young boy was taken to Lhasa, the holy city, where he began to live among monks and teachers. He was called the 14th Dalai Lama, the spiritual guide of Tibet. The palace where he stayed was large, filled with books, paintings, and soft lamps. Yet he missed the mountain wind and the sound of his mother's voice. He learned reading, writing, and lessons of kindness. Each morning, he lit a small butter lamp and prayed for people he did not know. When other children played, he watched them and smiled quietly. Once, a bird entered his study and could not find its way out. The little Lama opened the window and said softly, "Go, little one, the sky is waiting." The bird flew away, and the teacher watching him said, "Compassion is already your nature." He met many wise men who taught him about patience, forgiveness, and peace. But deep inside, he still felt like a simple boy who wanted everyone to be happy. Visitors from far lands came to see him. Some bowed. Some asked questions, and the child answered with eyes full of calm. His journey as a leader had begun, though he was still learning the meaning of true strength. Chapter 3. The Storm in the Land. As years passed, the young Dalai Lama saw changes in his country. Big forces outside wanted control, and his people grew fearful. He walked through streets where people whispered in worry. Soldiers appeared, and peace slowly faded from the air. The Dalai Lama prayed in silence each day, asking for calm to return. He met leaders and asked for talks, not fights. Once, he said softly, "Peace cannot be built with fear." But days turned darker when he was only 24. Danger came too close. His teachers whispered that he must leave for safety. One night, under a cloudy sky, he put on simple clothes and slipped out of the palace. A few loyal friends guided him across mountains and rivers. Cold winds cut their faces, and snow covered their tracks. They walked for nights without rest. Once, a guide fell weak, and the Dalai Lama held his hand, saying, "We must not lose hope. Light always finds us." After many days of silence and hunger, they reached the border and crossed safely into India. The land was new, the air warm, and the people kind. Though far from home, the Dalai Lama still carried the peace of Tibet in his heart. Chapter 4. A New Life in a New Land. In India, he found kindness waiting for him. The government gave him a small home in the hills of Dharamshala. There were no grand rooms, only quiet valleys, birds, and green trees. The Dalai Lama smiled and said, "This place feels like a new beginning." Each day, he met people who had escaped from Tibet and listened to their stories. He built small schools for children, so they could learn both modern lessons and the teachings of peace. Once, he saw a little girl crying because she missed her home. He sat beside her and drew a picture of a mountain. "Home is where your kindness lives," he told her. Slowly, he created a new community full of hope. People called Dharamshala Little Lhasa. The Dalai Lama wrote letters to world leaders, asking them to help keep peace alive. Yet, he never spoke in anger. He always said, "Compassion is my weapon, and truth is my shield." His days were filled with prayers, talks, and laughter with children. Even in exile, he remained calm, a mountain of peace, standing far from home, but close to everyone's heart. Chapter 5. The Voice of Kindness. The Dalai Lama began to travel around the world. Everywhere he went, people wanted to hear his words. He spoke slowly, using simple sentences that everyone could understand. "Be kind whenever possible. It is always possible," he often said with a smile. Once, in a crowded hall, a young boy asked, "How do you stay happy when life is hard?" The Dalai Lama touched his shoulder and replied, "Happiness starts from your heart, not from what you have." His calm voice made people quiet and thoughtful. He met scientists, teachers, and children, always learning from them too. In every city, he showed that wisdom means listening first. Once, he shared tea with a poor cleaner after a grand event. Reporters asked why, and he said, "A title means nothing. We are all human." These moments made people admire him even more. He never spoke of power, only peace, humor, and humility. Awards and honors followed, but he often said, "These belong to all who choose kindness." His smile became a symbol of hope that no border could stop. Chapter 6. The Eternal Light of Peace. Now, in his later years, the Dalai Lama still wakes early, prays, and meets people who seek advice. His hands move slowly, but his heart remains strong. He often says, "If you want peace, start by being kind." On his birthday, children around the world light candles and draw hearts for him. He laughs gently and says, "Let every light remind us that love is stronger than fear." In his small home, he keeps pictures of his family and a few prayer flags near the window. Visitors often find him feeding birds or helping the gardener. When people thank him for his life's work, he answers softly, "I only tried to live with compassion." Today, his message travels through books, talks, and the internet. Young people from many countries listen to him and learn that peace is not far away. It begins inside. The Dalai Lama's journey from a small mountain boy to a global teacher of kindness is a story of courage without anger, faith without force, and strength without pride. And even now, as the sun sets behind the Himalayas, the gentle monk's smile reminds the world, peace is still possible. Like, share, and comment your favorite part of Dalai Lama's story. Turn on the bell icon for more real and emotional English stories.